Are you like us? Tired of all the politically correct horseshit on podcasts and in the media? Need a podcast that's funny, smart, and gassy? It's not politically correct. It's just correct. This is the Carolina Underground. Throw that middle finger in the air. Raise them up. Because it's time to get loud, proud, and in your face. Generation X. Generation X. The best generation of all time meets the grit of the South. It's about everything and nothing at all. From current events to woolly boogers to movies to politics. Loud, brash, funny, and never, and I do mean never, predictable. The Carolina Underground with Mark and Mike.
Yo, 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 you bunch of hee-haw yo-yos. Welcome back to the Carolina Underground, coming to you live from the replica Bat Cave. And as always, I have my partner in high crimes and misdemeanors, coming from you somewhere 80 foot high in the depths of Sparkleberry.
No, I assure you, I am not 80 feet high at the moment. That's now the cat was.
Well, what a letdown.
Well, and I mean, again, that was one of the things. Well, so all right, I'm gonna. Is it all right if I tell the story?
Tell the story. Well, just make it up. That's what Democrats do.
That's true. Well, so my son's cat. I'm taking care of my son's cat. And he loves to, he's a cat, so he wants to be outdoors. My son wants him to be an indoor cat. The cat wants to be an outdoor cat.
Usually the cat wins.
Yeah, the cat usually wins. So the cat escaped the other morning, which I was trying to get the dog out, and the cat got out. Well, I don't worry about it too much. I have learned my lesson, and if I got anywhere to be, I don't feed him until after I can catch him when he has managed to escape. Well, so he escaped, and I had to go to work, and I looked for him. He didn't show back up.
Is his name?
So eventually, yeah, well, you'll have to break out the General Lee if you want to know what I call him most of the time.
Uh-oh.
But so, any rate, he got out there, and it was before the sun come up. And any rate, he didn't make it home, and I had to go to work. So I went to work, came back from work, looked for him, couldn't find him. And again, when I call him, I'm trying to listen, but we had one of my neighbors was running a dadgum leaf blower, and I mean, I can't fuss at him. It is leaf season. But he kept running that dadgum thing. Go ahead.
I was going to say, when it gets to a certain point of time, as you were talking about, and you're getting to, that's when you take said leaf blower, bend your neighbor over, and shove it up his posterior region.
Yeah, he was, while I was trying to look for the cat, he's running this damn leaf blower with the lights on in his yard up till about 11 o'clock. Well, at any rate, so the next morning I get up and was cleaning some house and stuff like that. I had a lot to do. It was my grandson's birthday party, and at any rate, I heard the cat meow.
That's some crap. Yeah, it's your birthday party. I didn't get no dabbling buttercream icing on my cake.
Well, it wasn't your birthday.
Come to think about it, I didn't even get a piece of cake because it's your grandson's birthday. I see how I fit in the scheme of things.
Well, I'll have to discuss with my daughter about inviting you to the next birthday party.
Well, you ain't got to invite me to the party. I just like cake.
Oh, well, I could have brought you some cake. I am so sorry I didn't think about that. But at any rate, so I heard the cat. Well, so it's pitch black, and I'm out there rooting around in the creek looking for this cat. And I finally get to the point where I'm as close as I can be. And I will bet you,
boys and girls, at this point in time, he has cycled through every four-letter word in the English language and is making up new ones.
Oh, no, I was inventing new ones. Absolutely. Well, so I got to the point where I was close, and lo and behold, I have to walk up into one of my neighbor's yards who has a dog, and then the dog, of course, I'm not supposed to be there, so the dog is raising Cain. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'm close enough. I know I'm close, but I can't get closer because I can't hear him over the dog. Well, neighbor finally came out and I apologized profusely. I said, I am so sorry. I know I've upset your dog and it is way too dadgum early on a Saturday morning. But at any rate, he was very gracious about it. He took the dog in. It's still pitch black out there. I mean,
And it's probably that dog that put the cat up the tree.
no, it was not. The
Oh,
you know
okay.
it that something. Any rate, I did when as the light started to come up, I saw something move in the top of the tree, and I was like, "Oh Lord!" And if that cat was a foot off the ground, he was 80.
Oh, Lord.
I'm honestly gonna say it's closer to 100. Well, so at any rate, now here's the quandary. The cat is, and I looked this up. Apparently, when a cat gets treed, now first off, cats generally don't chase things that high. When they get that high where they're scared to come down, something chased them. And there's a couple of big old raccoons in this neighborhood. And I mean, probably 30-pound raccoons. I mean, they're
Oh,
big.
wow.
And so what I suspect is
When
he
I
got
see
out there.
coons at the house, I just get the broom out and shoo them away.
Well, I reckon that he got involved with that, one of those raccoons, and found out that he wasn't anywhere near as big as he thought he was. So, but what
That may teach him not to suck eggs and not escape quite as much.
he did not make any effort this morning to get out. So I think it got his attention, but that
Put
was
a
a
little,
pretty rough
hey,
day.
I guess the old saying is true, except in the reverse. You can teach a cat new tricks.
Yeah, cats. Well, cats. You can't teach a cat
Hey,
anything a cat
and
doesn't
if
want to
you
learn.
need to teach him before, you know what they say.
What's that?
If you got to sharpen a pencil, don't stick it in a Rottweiler's butt.
Yeah, it, it won't. It won't do you much good to try to sharpen a pencil with a Rottweiler, but
It
no. The
won't.
thing is, what I read is that when they're up there and they're scared to come down, it's not
Uh-huh.
because they're scared. Because he would not come down for love nor money. He was telling me that I needed to come up there and get him. Well, of course the tree was covered in poison ivy. I mean, because we grow it down here like it's a cash crop.
And you deathly allergic to that garbage.
Yep, I just got over the last batch that I had. But anyhow, but what I read is they're not afraid to come down. They're afraid that whatever chased them up there is still down there waiting for them. So he wasn't coming out for love or money. And just so you're aware, the fire department does not actually, they cannot put a ladder up for a cat. So I called him
Hmm.
because I mean, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know anybody's got a ladder that's big enough to get up this
Not
tree.
a 80 to 100-foot ladder. That's a big ass ladder.
Well, and every ladder I could find, the biggest ladder I could find would get you about halfway up, but that was it. You weren't going all the way. But at any
Well, you
rate,
could always cut the tree down, I reckon.
well, yeah, but again, this was one of them great big honking red oak trees. It's about 2.5 to 3 foot diameter around the trunk, been growing for longer than people been living in the area. But we got him down. He eventually did decide that he wanted to come down,
Oh,
and
that's good.
he's back here. But my son was mad at me because I let the cat out. Well, but
Well, what are you
anyway, it
supposed
is
to
what
do?
it is.
Let it go to the bathroom in the house?
Well, it goes in the litter boxes, but the problem is I mean, he's fast as who wouldn't have it. He can get out of this house quicker than I can tell what room he's in. But it was an intriguing day.
It sounds like it. And I don't even like cats.
I'm not that fond of this one anymore.
And we tomorrow, no, not tomorrow. We are 2 days away from election day here in America. America is going to vote,
America.
boys and girls.
Well,
I
I
don't know
actually
who
went
they're
ahead.
gonna vote for,
Yeah,
but
I went ahead and actually early voted. And as much as I didn't think it was a good idea, my son talked me into it because I mean, my thought process is that just gives them more time to figure out how much they need to cheat.
Well,
to win.
there are already stories of the election machines not working,
Oh
particularly in
yeah,
Kentucky and other places.
oh
And
yeah,
of course, the machines that are not working also happen to be the Dominion ones.
yep, absolutely.
And so you're always a little leery about that. I have not voted yet. I'm planning on voting on election day.
Right.
I'm just like a hop, skip, and a jump away from the polling place. Hopefully, Flossie will stay curled up under the covers longer
Hmm.
enough for me to go vote. I'll bring her back a butter biscuit. She'll be all right.
Well, I
I
mean,
got I got to thinking about a question though, and this
all right.
kind of ties in. We got a couple things. Kamala was on Saturday Night Live. Of course, I guess they had to bring her on because Saturday Night Live ain't been funny since the late '80s,
Well,
early '80s.
they're still not. I mean, they're just.
Yeah, I mean, but it brought up an interesting question by the FCC chairman about equal time,
Oh yeah,
and
I
he
heard about
says
that.
that it was a flagrant attempt to circumvent the actual election rules of equal
Hmm.
time for both candidates. But of course, it's a Democrat candidate, so there will be no repercussions or anything for it. But
Hmm.
that really got me to thinking are we so focused on the presidential election? Because exactly how important is the presidency?
The president is not supposed to be that important. The president of the United States, and we've talked about this a gazillion times, president of the United States is not supposed to be an important figure, not
Right,
compared to the governor of your state, and your state legislature is supposed to be the sovereign governing body of your state.
right.
Again, we've talked, I mean, how many, it's just so amazing to me. It's the folks that really want a powerful federal government are the ones that want their will enacted on everybody, regardless of how everybody feels. And that's not how
Hmm.
we're supposed to operate. You're supposed to live in your world the way that you want to live in your world within reason. Okay. You can't go kill anybody. You can't go steal people's stuff. Not
Take away
supposed to.
all the fun.
Yeah, I know it, but it wasn't me. Talk to Moses and Almighty God. They're the ones that set the original rules. But you're not. I mean, again, you're just supposed to be a certain amount of decorum and respect for your neighbor and stuff like that. But aside from that, my choice about how you live your life has no bearing on how you live your life, and it should be. And I demand the same courtesy.
Oh, I agree, but I was thinking about this: are we focusing too much on this, particularly at the national level? And I know my feelings that I believe that I'm a North Carolinian first and
Hmm.
an American last. I'm not a big. I'm still stuck in 1700 politics minus slavery and stuff like that.
No, I'm
But
with you.
what I'm thinking is, though, is on a national level, would you rather have the presidency or would you rather have one or both of the houses of Congress? And I think I would rather have the houses of Congress than the White House.
Well, that's what the Democrats have focused on for the past 60 to 80 years. Because now, see, but again, the thing is, the reason that the founding fathers designed the federal government the way they did was that it was their intent for them to be hopelessly gridlocked constantly because
Right.
they didn't
It
want
was
them
supposed to
free.
be hard for them to get anything done.
Yeah, absolutely. And the reason is you don't want to put that kind of power in the hands of a governing body of people because the people that are attracted to those positions of power are usually pretty smarmy folks when you get right down to it. They don't care about you. They're usually psychopaths at best, or excuse me, sociopaths at best and psychopaths at the worst. And they don't care about you. All they're concerned about is making their life better off of you. I mean, again, it just utterly blows my mind that people do not look at serfdom and the feudal system and look at what we've got today and realize that we have pretty much the same thing going on. We just have the illusion that we can cast
We are
our
just
vote.
allowed to cuss people out.
Yeah.
That's that's it.
And again, it's like if the will of the people were actually being enacted by the federal government, we wouldn't be arguing about abortion, we wouldn't be arguing about illegal immigration, we wouldn't be arguing about 90% of the stuff that we're arguing about, because somebody would have actually done it and fixed
Hmm.
it.
Well,
Okay.
and the shock poll come out, I guess it was either yesterday or today, that Kamala is up in Iowa.
Well, she must have blown a few whistles.
Well, but now here's the kicker. But the Department of Homeland Security has come out and said that Iowa has hundreds, maybe thousands of non citizens on their voter rolls, and they've been voting.
Do tell. I am so shocked and
But now,
appalled.
wait a minute. Here's the shocker of the story.
Oh,
The
really?
department, our Department of Homeland Security,
Hmm.
will not provide the names that they have of the non citizens that are voting to the state of Iowa.
Right. Well, again, that's the whole thing. They, they said Chucky Schumer stood out there when they managed to get Warnock and whoever the heck else it was that they got shoved into the legislature from the Democrats by cheating, in my opinion. In 2020, was it 2020 or 2020? That was 2022. He says, now first we've changed Georgia, and then we change America. Okay, and I mean, again, they want to change the voting
Well,
demographics.
you're gonna find this a shock. It reminds me of a Jerry Clower story.
I am so shocked. Go ahead,
But
sir. Please do.
it's the same scenario, just a different lipstick on the pig, so to speak. It's
Different
kind of
shade of
like
lipstick on the
on
same
the
pig.
pig. That's right. And it's like when women were suffrage movement, where they were fighting the Women's Liberation Front and all this stuff, right?
Yep.
Jerry was on the show with the she coon of women liberators. And she was just sitting there talking to her, wanting to know what women she was going to liberate.
Hmm.
And she said she was going to liberate every woman in America.
All
And
right.
Jerry looked at her and said, "Well, let me tell you about Mama." And so that's what Jerry called his wife, was Mama.
Hmm.
He said, "When Mama may have to get up at 8 o'clock to let the woman into the house, what I've got hired to wait on Mama, but she
Hmm.
can go right back to bed."
Hmm.
I said, and then he tells the woman later that when Mama does decide to get up, she can watch them soap operas in every room in the house, sitting down, laying down, or propped up.
Hmm.
And when Mama decides to go to town to get her hair did, or go here or go there, she's going in a brand new gold Lincoln Continental.
Hmm.
He said, "Ms. Woman Liberator, Mama don't want you messing with the deal she's got."
Oh, there you
And it's
have it.
true.
Yep.
That's true.
Well, but that's
So
the thing.
now, wait a minute. And now, I didn't realize this, but Joe Biden wants to smack you in your ass.
All right, you're going to have to elaborate on that.
Well, if you support Trump,
Hmm.
it makes you the kind of person he just wants to smack in the ass.
That one I haven't heard, but I'm not
Well, he heard
surprised.
it. He said that after he bit a baby at the Halloween party at the White House.
He bit a baby. Oh, you
And the
got to be
baby
kidding me.
was in a costume, and you can see he's got the baby's arm in his mouth. Of course, I guess his teeth fell out or something. So they have done the Daily Wire,
Hmm.
is a news organization. I would consider them a news I would consider them probably a better source of news than CNN or
Oh, definitely.
some of the
Yeah.
other ones, but they have done a poll of voters,
Hmm.
not necessarily Democrats, not necessarily Republicans, but voters that identified and have said that they voted for Kamala Harris.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so the whole premise of this poll is they honestly think, and this just shows you how ignorant and how uneducated these people really are.
Hmm.
They honestly think that Trump supporters, or somebody that supports something that they do not believe,
Hmm.
they are actually not the Nazi party born again.
Oh, of course. Yeah. No, they really do believe that. They really, the ones that I know That now again, the other thing is I do know people that are actually Nazis, and I do know people that are actually in the Ku Klux Klan. But all of the people that I know that are in those particular organizations they're all Democrats.
Well, the Klan was a party of the Democrats.
No, it absolutely was the enforcement arm for the Democrat Party when it was created.
Right.
And
But,
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, it's just, it amazes me. I haven't seen Democrats this pissed off since Republicans freed the slaves.
Right. Well, I didn't see
And,
that. I wasn't around in the 1800s, but go ahead.
well, I read,
Yeah. Okay.
and sometimes I drink triple goat pecker coffee.
Yep. I understand. I have been led to believe that that is indeed the case. Go ahead, sir.
It is. And,
Yeah.
one thing that bothers me is we constantly hear on the news cycles. I don't watch the news. I turn it
Hmm.
off. I don't watch any of it. I don't listen to it.
Hmm.
If it's any good, they're gonna make it into a movie anyway.
Hmm.
So I tune it all out. But a lot of people can't.
Hmm.
For example, my parents, they're older. The news is they think it has to play 24/7.
Hmm.
And it doesn't really necessarily that it's because it's a certain channel or something. It's just I think that they are, as they have aged, they don't get out as much, and it's just something to have somebody in the background yammering on.
Hmm.
But they constantly, a poll for this, a poll for that, and
Hmm.
they constantly are ramming this stuff down. And I can see why people would have adverse psychological reactions to that and things. And I just think they need to chill out. Do we really need to hear that they conducted a poll every 15 minutes and what the results were? Do we really care? I
I
don't
don't
care.
know. I don't know. I mean, the problem is that you got the way it works in my mind is, the first thing is that the federal government at the very least, and possibly the state and local governments have all become a great big Ponzi scheme to enrich lawyers, doctors, and accountants and
Don't forget
politicians.
pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, and the pharmaceutical companies. That's the primary goal, and it's all being done off of the backs of the American taxpayer, okay? Because we are the consumers to the world. Now,
Hmm.
let's get that. I mean, that's just a fact, okay? And anybody that disputes that fact is either on the take or an idiot. Okay, those are the only two possibilities. Okay, you're either part of the problem or you're an idiot if you don't believe what I've just said. Okay. Now, the second thing about this is all of the news agencies are owned by somebody with an agenda, and that agenda is not educating you as to the actual facts. Now, I don't care who it is. I do not care who it is. That includes the Daily Wire. But CNN, MSNBC, the New York Post, the New York Times, all of those yahoos,
Oh, they all have agendas. I mean,
their
I
their
was
agenda
I
is
was
the
actually
destruction of the
kind of
United States.
shocked that Jeff Bezos just withheld a endorsement for any candidate from the Washington Post.
Well, because they know that there's no way that there is not a possibility on this earth that Kamala Harris can legitimately win this election. She simply can't.
Well, she can't legitimately win it for the first place. She never legitimately got onto the top part
Correct.
of the ballot in the first place.
Correct. Absolutely.
If
So,
it would have been legitimate, more than likely it would probably have been Bobby Kennedy facing off against Donald Trump.
oh no, absolutely. Now that would actually have been an interesting situation because either one of those two would actually have done something beneficial for the nation. And so, yeah, but anyway, like they all know that there's no possible way that she can win this election. Now, the question all becomes whether or not they're going to attempt to convince us that she did win.
I
Okay.
will wager something that I will bet that this election has more litigation before, during, and after than any election in
Oh,
American history.
it already has.
I know.
It
That's
already
why I
has.
was going to wager, because that way I knew I was going to win.
Well, okay. But I'm not going to take that bet because I already know that there's been, I mean, again, this is the first election cycle where the legals, and it's so funny. I love it when they start talking about how, when they start describing Hillary Clinton instead of Donald Trump, they use Donald Trump's name, but they talk about being unhinged and
I had
obsessed with
a,
revenge.
oh
That's
Lord.
Hillary Clinton.
Well, I had, it's true. Yeah, but you got to be careful about them Clintons, because them people that, when they get revenge, you end up dead.
Oh yeah, well yeah, well it's, but
I
it
got a
is.
text message to
All
my
right.
cellular mobile device,
Uh-oh.
and it had a link in it. And so I said, okay, I'm going to click on it, because it said, who do you support? And at this point, it got me intrigued, because it opens up this thing where you answer questions and it tells you which candidate your views are aligned with.
Hmm.
I said, okay, I want to see this. So I answer the questions. It tells me that my views are aligned with Kamala. I said, interesting. I said, okay. So I go back to the text message and open up a whole new window and do it all over again. And this time I answered the direct opposite that I answered before. Now
Uh-huh.
keep in mind, this is not a lot of questions. So even my addled, booze
Hmm.
soaked brain can remember what answers I put in. I answered the direct opposite questions. Guess who I and my thoughts and votes are aligned with?
Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris.
So,
And I'm going
well,
to be honest with you. First off, I would like to see a woman in power. One of my favorite political figures of all time is Baroness
Margaret
Margaret Thatcher.
Thatcher. Hmm.
And I would love to see a woman in power. I have no problem with that whatsoever. However, what I do have a problem with is somebody that is not qualified to do anything.
Hmm.
She plagiarized her book.
Yep.
Not over, I think the last count was over 92% was
Hmm.
plagiarized. So my question is, if it was plagiarized, should she not be forced to give back any money that she received from writing it, since she didn't really write it?
Well, I'm not sure how that works because, the amount of plagiarism that exists in Washington is pretty high, I think.
Oh, I know it's high. It's
But
higher than them damn blame rascals smoking them cheepas in the back of the congressional hallway.
you reckon it was higher than my cat was up in that tree?
Oh, it's higher than that.
I don't know. I mean, again, it's one of those things. Bottom line, I agree
And
that.
I'm not even mad about the thing. I'm just like, if somebody did not understand that the way what y'all were trying to do, they may look at that and think, well, maybe I am thinking about this wrong. Maybe I need to reevaluate what I'm thinking. Instead of your deceptive way of answering the questions, to where it doesn't matter which way you answer the questions, the results are the same.
Well, but you got to understand, you still, the whole, the if there's a tremendous amount of evidence. When back in a while back, Google did a lot of research to try to determine exactly how far they could skew the results of the answers that they were providing to you before you would start to feel like that they were manipulating the results.
Hmm.
What they discovered was that that if they manipulated the results anything less than 75%, then people felt like the results were being manipulated. So they manipulate 100% of what you see. And that is their whole game. That is their whole game as a search engine. That's why libraries and card catalogs are far superior because the card catalog cannot be programmed to have an agenda. Well, it can, but it would require a tremendous amount of effort. So you can look up whatever you want to in a card catalog using the good old fashioned Dewey Decimal System, and you'll find what you're looking for.
Well,
You can't do that You can't do
unless you've
that
had
online.
yahoos in government that have banned the books, and so they're not in the card file.
Well, you still find the books.
Not if the book is not in the library,
If
it ain't
it's
going to be
not
on
in,
the card file.
well, yeah, I understand what you're saying, but you can find the books whether they've been banned or not,
Well, I
but
can
not
find
in
them
that
on
library.
Google whether they've been banned or not. That Google may not want to show them to me, but then you have to get creative in the way that you search for it.
Right, but you have to get creative in the way that you search for it because
Well, I'm
they're
going to put it to you
manipulating.
like this: I know they manipulate everything and are master manipulators.
Hmm,
But since I refuse to be manipulated, I manipulate what I put into search to get what I want, so I win anyway.
well, I mean, there's no way to prove to you that you don't. I mean, again,
Well, there is, because 99.99% of the time I don't use Google. So,
well, there you go. But I mean, they
so I win.
all
I
are
still
like that.
win.
Okay, that's fine. But the point of the matter is that Google manipulates the results that you see from a
Well,
search
that's because
based
we're
on
what
who pays them the most.
our information is what is paying their bills.
No, it's not. Well, yes, our information is not. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
that's what's paying. We are the product that they're
Mhm.
selling.
Yep, absolutely. Yep, always have
And I
been.
did see something on Tickle Talk.
Okay.
You know, I get on there every once in a while.
Hmm.
You just getting downright combative on a voter eve night.
Who?
You.
Why am I combative?
I don't know. Maybe I just ain't had enough to drink yet.
All right, could be. I'm not sure why you're saying I'm combative, but go ahead.
But I really don't like when they don't just tell me what they're talking about and they don't provide links and sources of the stories that is supposedly true crime.
Who? Oh, okay.
But but this supposedly happened. I've been trying to find actual documentation of it happening. I haven't been able to find it other than other creators on TikTok talking about it. I haven't been able to find like an actual legitimate news story or something talking
Hmm.
article or anything talking about it. But evidently this woman had gotten divorced and she had a kid,
Oh,
a son, and she got married again to the stepdaddy. Well, the stepdaddy and the son, underage son though, I think the kid was 15, 16, 17, somewhere around in there. Evidently those two fell in love with each other.
okay.
And then the mama stabbed the son to death because he fell in love and the stepdaddy loved him more than he loved her.
Hmm.
And she ended up getting like 20 years or something like that. But it's the TikTok is kind of like a lot of the stuff on NBC, CNN. You got to kind of take it with a grain of salt because they make some stuff up. And I
Hmm.
have not been able to find any corroborative
Hmm.
documentation or information concerning this. And you figured if something that happened like that, and this woman would have legitimately killed her son, and this would have been the reason given, it would have been all over the newspapers from wherever it happened, all the way through across from one coast to the other.
Well, you would think that,
I
but
would.
you wouldn't necessarily be correct because that's the thing. Again, that's the whole the game plan for at least the last 50, 60 years has been you make enough money, you buy yourself a newspaper so that you have somebody that will print nice things and good things about you and what you're doing. And that's what they do. And so they're
Hey,
all
maybe that's what we
propaganda
need to
machines.
do.
I
Maybe we need to buy us a newspaper.
you, you if you got the pockets deep enough, my friend, go right ahead. I don't. I was born
I don't.
independently poor, and I
I
still
can't
got
think of
most of that
anybody
left.
that. I mean, I cannot think of anything in the 21st century that is more useless than a newspaper.
Well, no, I think newspapers are real useful. You can use them to roll them up and whack a fly, or
Well,
pop a puppy dog on the nose, or a kitty cat on the butt, or a
not
kid
you're
on the
not
butt.
talking about you're not talking about popping Flossie.
Well, I'm not. I'm saying you can if you needed to. I'm
Well,
not talking about. I wouldn't do
oh,
that.
okay.
No. But they're very useful. I mean, you use them to start a fire in the grill. All kinds of things you can do with a newspaper.
Well, but they're not
Now, reading
useful in
them,
reading them or the
yeah.
day to day that they used to be. This
Oh, yeah.
the allure is not there. I come from a time, and you come from a time to when that was where I think we got more news from the newspaper than we did from television, because the news only come on twice a day, at six
Right.
o'clock in the evening and 11 o'clock at night.
So yeah, and they had to tell you the things that were actually important to you, or they would lose they'd lose their readership. The problem with newspapers is nobody believes anything that they print anymore because they've been printing bullshit. Well, and again, that was the other part of it. If you had it written down in paper and you hand that to a whole bunch of people, it's there. You can't delete it
Right.
and say, "Oh, that didn't
Exactly.
happen." You can't say, "Oh, well, you didn't hear the apostrophe." You can't edit this stuff. It was
Kind
written.
of like how the White House edited the transcript of Joe Biden calling
Oh yeah,
all the supporters of Donald Trump over half the country garbage.
yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
And
then he
that's
wants to smack them in the ass.
well, he can try it.
Well, I said a long time ago, if he wants to take somebody, he was talking about taking people out behind the woodshed and stuff like that. Anytime his little old ass feels froggy, you tell him to jump.
No, I feel the same way. But
But I have a feeling if he jumps, I'm gonna catch a charge because Old Man River gonna break a hip.
yep, I understand. I do indeed.
I want to ask you a question. I've
All
been
right,
thinking about this, and he said he wasn't going to do it. But
all
if
right.
he lose, if at the 0 hour, because
Hmm.
he's not coming back in, he's not going to have an opportunity. Is he going to pardon his son?
Oh, I'd be surprised if he didn't. And I really don't. I'm not as concerned about Hunter Biden and all. Well, I mean, I am actually, because he has committed a significant amount of treason, but then so has most of Washington. And that's the thing. I mean, we really need to clean house on those rascals. It was like I said last week's podcast. Where's the lawsuit? Where's the class action lawsuit
I'm ready. Find me a
against
lawyer,
these
baby.
folks?
Is F.
Well,
Lee Bailey still alive?
but you're not going to find a lawyer because they're part of the problem
I
anymore.
bet F. Lee Bailey, if he's still alive, if he was still legal, then he would take it because the government jacked him up too.
I wonder if we've got any actual litigators left in the world or if they're all just scum now. I mean, again, it's
Nah,
just,
there's got to be. There's good and people all around the world. There's got to be good people somewhere.
I would hope so, but they're certainly not in charge for the most part.
Like what's that Aaron Brockovich that got all them people that money from
Yep.
something? Julia Roberts was in that
Yeah, but
movie.
she wasn't actually, she was a legal assistant, I think. I don't think she actually was an attorney. I'm not even sure if she was actually a legal assistant. I'm not sure what her deal was.
I know she got a big bonus check and she was happy about it.
Well, good. She should have, I reckon.
I seen the movie.
Well, good. I didn't. That's
You
not
know,
one
it's
that
getting to be about that time of the year where you start closing the house up.
All right. I don't know what you expect me to say to that.
Well, you probably don't close yours up anymore.
Well, I mean, I close it every time I come in and every time I leave. I don't know
No,
what you're
that's not
talking
what I
to me
mean.
about.
I'm
Yeah.
talking about for the weather.
Oh, you talking about like shutting all the storm windows and whatnot like that?
No, in an old house, like my house was built in the 1800s, the early
All right.
1800s. My house, I think sometimes my house was built and then North Carolina was built around it.
It's entirely possible, but go ahead.
That's what it feels like anyway. But
Hmm.
in the old days and in older houses
Hmm.
that don't have good insulation and stuff, the economical thing at different times when the weather got bad was you closed off rooms that you didn't use that were not necessity,
Oh,
and you just heated the rooms that you used.
well, yeah.
That was called closing off the house.
Okay. Now
And
that's an
then
interesting
for if you
thing
were
to
going to have
do.
holidays or something like that, you're going to have people visiting, then you opened them back up and paid extra for the heating or something like that. But it's like, but I do that every year. There are there's rooms in this house that I ain't been in 30 years.
All right.
And I don't even remember how to get to them.
All right.
But Flossie and I close off certain rooms. There's a couple rooms that we close off that they just we don't go in there. You don't have to worry about anything freezing like pipes or anything like that.
All right.
So there ain't no point in running up and doing things. And we get accused of not really caring about the planet this and the planet that, but it's like when we were young, we got milk in glass bottles that we put
Hmm.
back out that they took off and washed and sanitized to bring more milk back out.
Yep.
When a baby took a shit, we didn't throw it away. We washed the diapers,
You mean the baby or the diaper?
both, because usually they was nasty.
Yep, that's true.
I mean, we didn't send a signal 8 million miles out into space every time we wanted to order a blessed pizza.
Yeah.
When we drunk water, we drunk it. We didn't buy it in plastic bottles. We drunk it out of the water hose or the spigot,
Yep.
but we didn't care about the planet. I guess this
Yep.
generation and all these newer people, they know all the answers. But the bad part is they're too stupid to know all the dad blame questions.
Well, that was one of the things. There is a show called Adam Ruins Everything, and
Hmm.
there's a lot of good information in there. But one of the things that he does talk about is the fact you remember the old Indian that used to cry when people threw trash out? But
Oh yeah, I
yeah, he
remember him.
he talks about that whole thing that
He wasn't even the Indian though, was he?
no, I think he actually was an Indian, but
Oh, there was one of them that claimed that they portrayed as an Indian, but he was actually Italian.
yeah, I think that was actually him. But the whole point of the matter that I was trying to get to is he talked about that, and it was exactly what you were saying. We used to recycle everything because glass making is
Was expensive.
is an expensive and complicated process. But making
I
these
remember
plastic
when you got a
bottles,
1 liter soda in a glass bottle.
and I agree, and I remember it as well. But the thing is, so you were
That's
able to
that's
make those.
why people down here in the South. That's why when you said you was gonna get popped upside the head with a Coca-Cola bottle, you knew it was gonna hurt.
Well, that's true. But the point is that that was that whole campaign. They came out with the plastic bottles, which were easier and cheaper and faster to
Hmm.
make, and then they did not come up with any
And
method by which to recycle them.
cycle 'em.
And so then what they did was they started blaming everybody and telling and shaming everybody and telling them that they were terrible, trashy people because they were littering because they didn't have any way to get rid of the bottles and
The
get them
bottles, right?
recycled.
Well, they bring all these bottles out so they can make more faster and bottle
Hmm.
more Coca-Cola, right?
Yep.
And then what do? They come out with new Coke. You want to talk about screwing the pooch?
Yeah, that was pretty ridiculous.
Well,
But
we coming to the end of today's episode. I just
and,
I
and
want
not
to,
and not a moment too soon.
I just want to encourage you. If
Hmm.
you hadn't voted yet, go vote. Whether you vote for Donald Trump, Bobby Kennedy, Kamala, whoever, or if you want to write in yourself, just go vote. The problem is you don't have to shout to the rafters or the rooftops who you voted for, because your
Well,
politics is your business and nobody else's. Don't make you feel bad because you don't do what they want you to do or anything like that. We're not going to make you feel like you're stupid because you don't do what we want you to do. But just
well,
remember,
go ahead.
we are not politically correct, but we are correct
So, and I'm
all
gonna
the time.
and I'm gonna correct you on one thing. Vote if
Okay.
you're a citizen.
Well, yeah. I was given that as a given. I thought, well,
Well, but it's
nowadays,
not a given right now. If you're a citizen,
nowadays since you have to have warnings on McDonald's hot coffee that it may be hot. I guess we do need to have to put Surgeon General warnings on everything.
yeah, and you got to remember how, there's a party that can't determine what a woman is and what a man is. So if you kind of if they're that far gone, they might need a little bit of help. So if you are a citizen of these United States, go vote. If you are not a citizen of these United States, stay your happy butt home. We don't need your opinion.
And if you ain't in the country legally, go back to where you come from.
Yep,
And with
please.
that, that's the snout to the curly tail and everything in between. We just like 60-minute men. We do it all night, all day, and then some. And I'm having a hard time keeping these alligators down, baby. And we gone.
Have a good evening.
All right, you crazy bunch of motherfuck. Wait, can we say mother? Anyway, you've been listening to the Carolina Underground. It isn't politically correct, it's just correct. Our motto is, if you can't go balls deep, don't go at all. Actually, that's not our motto, and I'm sorry, I don't even know what that meant. All right, we gotta go. We hope you enjoyed the show. And if you didn't, we hope it really pissed you off. Follow us on Twitter at Carolina UNDGRND Underground, get it? Or drop us an email at Carolina UNDGRND, get it? At northstate.net. We want to hear from you. Y'all be cool. See you next time on Carolina Underground.